Welcome, one and all to the Spaghetti Junction podcast. Because my name is Garrett,
My name is Bruce.
and we talk about things we just don't know where they're gonna go. Welcome back to another episode. We are on the weekend of Easter.
Yeah,
Easter
a couple of days off coming up. Yay.
weekend, and our topic is actually pretty well timed, I think. Um,
I think so,
just,
yeah.
um, just all about uh, God and science and movies, and we have spoken about M. Night Shyamalan movies. We actually did a whole episode on um, on those. Actually, it was really good episode. Actually, I'll try and find it while we're talking. But yeah, because me and Bruce are both huge fans of M. Night, and I said to Bruce,
Yeah,
even though he has done some flops, I still
Mhm.
will watch them because it's M. Night. And yeah, I mean, but it is interesting. It made me think of the sense of like how someone can be so brilliant and then make like one or two movies that's like it doesn't equate to his normal level. But I guess that also shows with actors, you know, actresses maybe as well. They also have their days where it's maybe not their best performance kind of thing. And that's how I like to
Yeah.
see old M. Night.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like you can't expect even though you are iconic and so good at what you do. I think it'd be unrealistic to think that you could hit knock it out of the park every single time.
Time.
Whether
Yeah.
it's we've seen this on, with other movie directors. We've seen this with albums from bands that we love. We're so
That's true.
psyched to
That's
get
true.
so psyched for the new album from some band, and you're like, really? this
What
this
happened to that
th-
one?
this was what you this is your A game material kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Metallica. Anyway, sorry. Saint Anger.
Well, the one which I feel that same way is one that you like, which is the Linkin Park album when they went from friggin' their rock to this bloody pop crap, which you love for
Oh,
some
the whole
absolutely ungodly reason why you like that. I do not know. But let's not
the
go
whole
there.
minutes to midnight debacle.
That sounds like a boy band thing. Yeah, terrible, really bad.
Oh, that's brilliant.
For some reason, Bruce with this high level of music somehow seems that one's okay. But let's just move on because
Yeah, that might actually be that might be a debate for a whole new episode.
that's a whole nother topic away from this. Anyway, so
That could be a fun chat, actually. Is albums
yeah,
that
I don't
we
know. I'll get angry
I don't
again.
know.
So I probably won't. It probably won't be that good. Let's be honest. Anyways, back to where we are now. Yeah. M. Night Shyamalan's in a quick little recap. A little nutshell thing. If you don't know him, he is best known as a director. He's done about 14. I have the full number. I can't give it to you totally right now, but at least 12 movies. And he's known a part. And he writes most of them as well. And the ones so I've been watching all of them in an order so far. I got up to The Village last night, and he's known to have these like little things at the I'm sorry at at the end of the movies of a little like, what? I didn't see that coming. Like that's a
Little twist. Yeah.
like I never saw coming. He's very well known for that.
Mhm.
And I won't give anything away, obviously. But for example, the Village, even though I knew where it was going and I knew the plot and everything like that, it's still possible to watch his movies and still enjoy them and still see the creativity in what he does.
Yes. Correct.
Because he's very good at that.
Yeah.
So he's known for that. His last movie that was released was called. It was called.
It was Trap, wasn't it?
Trap. That is correct.
That was a good one.
Pretty good.
It was good.
And you'll also see with M. Night Shyamalan, he likes to put himself in the movie somewhere, just a little role. And I
Small
forgot
cameo
about
role,
that.
yes.
Yeah. And I was watching, yesterday, for example, I was like, oh, that sounds familiar. And then I saw it was like just a little random role. It was actually pretty cool. Anyways, so Signs, so you know what? Now I'm going to tell you right now. I should have done this before. So Signs is his fifth movie. The first one, not many people will know about it. He made it in he actually made another one in 92. I didn't realize that. I know he had done one in 98, but he did one in 92 and one in 98, and then he began to get really well known from the third movie in 99, which is The Sixth Sense. That's what got him really.
That's what sort of put him on everyone's radar.
Yeah, Sixth Sense was a huge one. And that movie is probably the most painful movie of all his movies for me, because I was told how it ended even before I started the movie. And if
I actually still haven't seen it.
Okay, good. Well, then I won't. Oh, good. So
I know how to. I know the.
Oh, okay. Well, don't say it.
I know the twist. I still wouldn't mind seeing it. But.
Oh, no, exactly. I mean, I knew the twist, so I didn't really watch it, and I only watched it. I don't know if it was last year, but anyway, it was a while back. But I knew how it was going to end, but I still watched it. So that's the thing with these Shyamalan movies. A lot of the time, if you know how it's going to end, is it like, oh, okay, kind of. So it's always good to go watch one of his movies with as little amount of knowledge of it as possible.
Yeah.
But Signs, this was now, this was with Mel Gibson. I think that this was one of his first major roles. I don't actually know. I could actually be speaking up my butt, so let me rather not say that. He was in there. It was one of the earlier movies of Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Who was also in The Village.
Correct. He was, yes.
He was in The Village. And then you had Abigail Breslin. This was her first major role.
Yes, she was great in that movie. Wow, for such a young actress, she played that role of that little girl brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, you to think of it as in someone who is about 6, 7, or 8, whatever it was, very, very young, and can act at such a level. That's when you know, okay, that person is actually made to be doing movies.
Yeah.
You can tune into what a director wants. You can tune into the whole feeling and the environment and the emotions. And I mean, if you can make yourself cry at that age.
Yeah. My favorite line of hers in Signs, Mel Gibson wakes up and she's standing there staring at him in the middle of the night, and he goes, "What's wrong?" She goes, "There's a monster in my room. Can I have a glass of water?" It's classic. It's brilliant. It's but the way she does it, it's all in the delivery. I mean, it just wow. Yeah. So matter of fact.
Yeah, exactly. That's why she does
it. Anyway.
Yeah. So and it's a tale of a spiritual walk of one of the characters. In fact, I would say so within this, we're not going to really we're not going to do any spoilers. We're not going to break down the story, because it'll be good if you want to go and watch it. It's really worthwhile. But we're going to chat about it. I guess a little bit about the movie style, but a lot about the spiritual side, a lot about how the movie really draws you closer to what many call their higher power. Some will call God. we so so yeah, I mean, and it's a very powerful story of. I think you actually mentioned it, and I'll pass it to you quickly. You actually mentioned it in the beginning when we were having a chat just a little bit before this, was that you saw it as a tale of redemption.
Yes. Yeah, I see it as it's a story of someone who's actually having a crisis of faith, and through a series of really unexplainable events comes back around to finding their faith and finding is Bruce struggling with his words again? Just coming back around to actually believing that there is, that there is someone or something above us, someone looking out for us, a higher power,
Yeah.
Look at, there that and we are really as small as we are, we are very small, and we we can't do that kind of life. We can't do life in our own strength, kind of thing. Sorry, that was a little all over the place.
It was, but I get where you're going with it. It's so good. So good.
I've been way more succinct than that in the past.
That's normally me doing that. So it's and I did kind of put you on the spot, so it's not your fault.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. So now a question quickly before we carry on is, do you think that we can actually get through this without any spoilers, or should we rather tell people, hey, we'll watch it before we do this?
I think we can do it without spoilers.
Okay. Well, I'll do my utmost. Yeah. I'll do my utmost best. Yes. Yes. So then, actually going on from what you're saying, if you look at it, yeah. So like we in the larger scale of the universe, I think where you were going with that is that we are quite minuscule.
Yes,
we are.
Correct.
We I mean, related to the rest of the whole world, universe, Earth, everything, we are but little particles, or six. I know it sounds crazy. We are like what, over 6 billion people?
We're around 8 billion people in the world.
Oh, you're on 8. Wow.
We're on 8. Yeah.
8. What happened?
Yep.
What happened to be the last 2 billion? Damn. Okay. Because when you think that the world revolves around yourself, you lose it out. Fair enough. Okay.
Nah.
I just burned myself there. That's okay. I burned myself for a while. Anywho, yes. So science is really based around that, and it really like asks questions as to like, is it only us in this world? Is there anything else? Is there anything more than just us doing our day-to-day life? And if there is, then what is it? Because I mean, it is a question that is brought up by many people. It's like, so like what on earth am I doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wake up, I eat, I go to school, or I go to university, or I go to work, or I look after my family, blah, blah, blah. And this whole thing with the science, for me, they draw it on the main character, which is Mel Gibson. And this is not a spoiler alert. I mean, you'll know it as soon as it starts, pretty much. Is that he's is there something which actually comes up in the movie fast enough that we know who he is, or should I hold on to that?
It comes up fairly soon.
Okay, well, fair enough. Then it's fine. So he is actually he used to be a pastor / priest, he was, for most of his life, and then something happens within his life that basically turns him against his whole understanding, and his whole view on God completely changes because of a moment that basically impacts his life so much that it makes him to choose to walk away from his faith.
Yeah, and that's a cool. I like the way they explored it. Because you can. I think Shyamalan touches on the fact that for so much of your life, you can be so invested in a particular belief and whatever, but then something happens that kind of rips everything, rips the carpet out from under you. It can be so devastating or life-changing in a negative way that it actually causes you to walk away from that thing that you've invested in your whole life. And that's why we talk about his sort of crisis of faith that he starts having, which then doesn't just affect him; it blows over onto the rest of his family and all of that.
Yeah, well. I think that and I think it's very relevant. Like, sometimes you don't know. You don't know the foundation that you're standing on until you're hit by a massive storm, for example. And I think that's, so yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't think you have to go through it, but I have found with God is that sometimes when there's a difficult or a hard situation that you have to go through because of life, life just happens.
Life happens, yeah.
Life happens, and it can be good and it can be bad. But I think I know what I'm finding with God is that he'll use good stuff, obviously, and then he'll also use the bad stuff to basically test my faith and to test not test, but to basically realize who I am as a Christian, who I am with God. And I'm finding that that's a powerful thing in the sense, because if you know God or you don't know God, we are all going to have harsh times. We are also going to struggle. And it's in those moments that we begin to realize who we rely on. Like what our faith journey is. And very much for myself, for example, where I am now, a lot of it's it's like my relationship with God right now is it's good. It's a mixture in the sense, and I can think bringing it to the movie again, where Mel Gibson's character at one point was like really close with God, and and he walked with God, and he was doing his calling and so forth. And then when that thing happened in his life, he distanced himself from God, and he was at a point where he didn't really feel God, for example. And I've found that sometimes in the difficulties that you may or may not feel God, it still doesn't negate the fact that he's not there. It doesn't negate the fact. Yes, that's right. So no, yes. So meaning that he is still there. If we cannot see / feel him, that we did feel him a week ago, it still doesn't. And I found that with the movie, that you could still see that going throughout the whole movie through his brother and through and through his daughter, you could still see that God was still part of the whole fabric of the whole story, the whole fabric of everything going on. There was still that imprint of God working itself through. And sometimes like we won't feel it, but it's being able to, and I think that this is where the Mel Gibson character didn't, where he may have missed it, because it was very inward focused. Sometimes you have to see God moving through other things around you if you're not seeing it running through yourself. Because sometimes when things are difficult, it's very easy to focus on yourself and where you are with God, or where you are just with life in general, that you sometimes miss out on seeing him doing stuff that's not directly interlinked with us. And I just find that just because I do, when I'm when I'm down or when things are rough, sometimes it'll be more myself and how bad things are and where I am or where I am not with God. But a lot of the time, and I'm seeing it, is that he's still doing things. It just needs us to take a little moment just to look a little bit outside of us, and you can actually see that he's still working in that tapestry. That just doesn't seem to be working where it right now is, but he's still around, and that's one of the bigger truths that I got out of the movie.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, when we're going through that, like you said, it's very, very. We tend to go through something, and all we do is focus on our problems. And then, what I've found, also just very recently, is just to be actively remind myself of everything that I do have that I can be thankful for. And I'm talking about the most basic things that so many people don't have. I have half a tank of petrol in my car that enables me to get places. I have a car. I have a roof over my head and a warm bed to sleep in. I have food. I have a job. It's like we sometimes let our circumstances cloud all of those other small things. Well, and they're not small things. I still think they're very big things. It's a miracle that and we lose sight of those basic things that so many people don't have. We've got to keep reminding ourselves of, like, I've got even though this is the circumstance, I've still got so much to be thankful for. And that was, and you're right, that's where kind of Mel Gibson's character missed the mark, is that, there was, he had these beautiful children who looked to him as being the leader and their father. And
his child. One child.
Two kids.
Isn't that his brother? For some reason, I thought that was his brother.
No, the little boy and the little girl.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking of Joaquin Phoenix. Yes, he has two. Sorry. Yes, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah.
I lost him in the story. Yes,
so he lost sight of those things that were still right there in front of him, that really needed him to be that, firstly, just a dad, and secondly, to be a spiritual leader. And he stepped away from that. His character made the choice because of that horrible circumstance that happened. But now you say, like, we always know that we sometimes choose to step away from God. God doesn't step away from us, and he's always there. When we want to go, listen, turn back to him, we always, and what are we always doing? We're always stuffing up. We're always turning back, and God's always there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And
that's the powerful thing about grace. It's exactly what it is.
I've actually just had a thought now as you were talking.
Far away.
What do you imagine if the storyline of the movie was. Imagine how different the movie would have been if.
Okay, hold on.
He.
Before you bring this up, is that going to break any spoilers? Because I'm concerned it might.
I will. Let me use particular language so that I don't. Okay, cool.
I don't want you to spoil. I can see where you might be going, and you might bust down the spoiler for it.
If Shyamalan had written it in such a way that even though this horrible thing happened, Mel Gibson's character kept his faith, and that whole situation in the movie would have happened, how would the movie have? But then again, you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have the story. It wouldn't, because you wouldn't have this whole story of redemption. So
there's your answer.
But it's something to think about anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, just a random thought that just popped into my head. It's one of those thoughts that sounded better in my head than out loud.
It's cool, but then
but it wouldn't have worked. No.
The script would have had to change. So
yeah.
On that note, thank you for watching, and yeah.
Yeah, and I just I'm just finding that's the main thing that I'm finding lately, because also I've gotten to the point where I as a Christian I have really been trying to do a lot of life in a lot of my own strength, and I'm sort of really now basically daily just saying, just talking to God and saying, Lord, I can't do this in my own strength.
Yeah.
This needs to have everything, my circumstances, but what I think the main thing is, and this is what we've got to, this is the catch, if you like, is we've got to ask, we've got to put our wills aside and go, what is your will, Lord? And go, how do you, where do you want to point me? What is your will, as opposed to what my will? Because if you say, okay, Lord, I'm going to give this over and I can't do it in my own strength, you've got to accept that God is going to point you in places, in directions that you weren't maybe expecting. And that's faith. That's your faith in walking with God, is that you go, okay, Lord, not my will but yours. Like if I think about the skills that I've acquired, like I'm not sure where I'm going with what I do with my life as a career, and I've got to go, Lord, I'm doing this, I'm working on things that I can work on. I need you to direct steps and show me what where this is going to go, and how it's going to, how it's going to line up with your will. And I was telling you the other day is that there is a really cool little book by a Christian author. His name is Bruce Wilkinson, and it's the book called the Prayer of Jabez.
Okay.
And I've got the audio book, and I've been listening to that a lot. And it's a great little book, and it really talks about this random prayer that this very, very random Bible character prayed in the midst of this whole list of genealogy. Sometimes this little prayer comes up, and he prays for very specific things, and it's actually pretty huge, and he basically asks God first and foremost to actually bless him, which for a lot of people sounds very selfish. But when you delve quite into it, it's actually pretty profound. And then he goes on to ask God to expand his territory, expand his borders, ask God for his favor, but then also ask God for his protection. And if anyone wants it, let me just get the right Bible reference, and then you guys can go and check it out if you want. Because I'm not just going to talk about this without giving you the Bible reference. It is 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verses 9 and 10. If you guys want to go and read that out.
Read it and
so
yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that I've gotten to the point where I'm busy. I kind of pray a version of that pretty much every day now, and I've started seeing things happen. They're small, but and you can. And I think when you talk, what I was thinking about, coming up to the episode, one of the things you mentioned is like, does God give us signs? If we are Christians, does God speak to us through little things that happen during the day, little things that happen in life, and you go, wow, is that coincidence, or could that be? And I think if you're a person of faith, you would probably attribute it more to maybe God directing things in a certain way. Things that you pray for. I know a lot of people think, maybe people that don't live by any sort of faith think, oh, well, that was a lucky coincidence, I suppose. But I think if you're walking, if you're walking with God and you're praying stuff every day, and then those types of things happen, or someone says something to you, and it lines up with what you've been thinking about, then you have no choice but to attribute it to maybe God speaking to you in a certain way.
Yeah. Now that very much. Yeah. Sorry, you can go, and then I'll start off.
Yeah, like just certain things. I'll be stressing about something, or I won't be having a great week, or whatever. Things are not quite lekker, and then my mom will maybe randomly send me like some Bible verse, and it'll hit with so much encouragement right there and then. I'm like, oh,
for sure.
Then it's like you can't deny that was was a little thing of like God's going, listen, dude, I've got you. Just chill, and here's something just to remind you.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, that's that's really powerful, man. What we're talking about there as well is possibly one of the major themes throughout the whole movie is exactly that. Are things around us that happen, are they random events, or are they actually part of a larger divine plan? And that's one of the questions from the movies. I also like this movie, where it doesn't force you to believe something. It gives you something to follow and to look, and then you question it, like we may be doing it now. You question it afterwards. It's not a preachy push thing. This is this man's truth. This is this man's journey. You make up your mind if you think, whatever you want to take from it, you take from it. And one thing that it brings in as well, which is not really a spoiler alert, is the crop circles. Now, crop circles, and I like how Shyamalan brought in this whole thing of the crop circles, because they have been going on for forever in the world, I would imagine. And there's like always this whole thing of like, well, were they man-made? Was it like an alien made, or just like naturally made? And I was and he used that as a catalyst to the whole question as to things that happen around us. Exactly what you were saying. Are they random? Or like is there like an actual spiritual thing around it, kind of thing? Funny enough, there was I read a news article earlier this week about crop science and everything happening, and there's a whole bunch that have been happening in Australia for quite a while, and it was actually dated back to the Aborigines, and how they actually built the ground and formed it, linked with their within their belief structure. And it was interesting in the sense, obviously, it wasn't an alien, it wasn't God, it was a man-made thing. But in some ways, they were also forming it towards what their perception of spirituality might have been. Which I actually found quite amazing. You know, in the sense of that. And yeah, it's a very it's something. But now on the flip side, I struggle sometimes when I'll say, okay, well, because of this happened, that's God must be saying yes. Now God must be saying yes of this. And sometimes it's just because I'm looking for something. And that's my struggle. Is that at times when I'm really wanting an answer or I'm really needing something, I can almost find something to prove a point that'll make me go, ha, I knew it. That's why I should have been doing it all along. It's like those and it always drove me nutty is when there would be you know, let's just say a pastor or a teacher, whatever, and they would be preaching on a certain topic that foundationally and what you know of, based as a Christian, it just doesn't somehow fit right or doesn't feel. But that person has managed to take a bunch of verses out of context and formed it to make their message the truth.
Yeah.
And I've had that before, and it's like, number one, obviously that's extremely dangerous because now you're playing, or you're playing with God's scriptures and trying to form them so that your point is made. Anyways, that's a whole nother side thing. But I struggle sometimes when I'm like really trying to work out something in my life and I just want an answer like yesterday. I struggle sometimes when I have to question myself, okay, what happened? Was that God or was it just me hoping that it was? And I still don't have a final answer of that in my life. But what I try and believe, and I think I'm getting there, is that sometimes I shouldn't overthink things. I find that sometimes if I pressurize myself and I'm trying to, okay, well, this could have meant that, and then that could have meant this, and sometimes it's just you just sit back and look. It's like, oh, okay, let me not try and overcomplicate it all. I'm not God. I'm not going to fully get it, but okay, let me continue that path. And if it is the right way, it's going to happen. And if it happens to be, it's not right. Maybe I've misread it or something it is, but I've still gone with where I believe it is. It's just not going to work out that same way because God has other place to go to. And I just find that's it's something. It's something that I can do quite easily. I can overlook. I mean, I can overdo my thinking. I can overreact. I can where sometimes it's just the basics. God, you know what? And I think it's a thing of even if you're concerned that maybe it's not the right direction, God's going to find you somewhere and pull you back. If you're going with him, just say, God, you know what? I don't fully know the direction. I'm just going to go here. And if it's not, help me run the corner kind of thing. And I've been finding that's a lot. That's been very helpful. Otherwise, we can get caught down. So this whole thing of signs and, like, is there more to it? I think what I'm taking from it, the many things, which I'm taking from it, is that there is divine intervention, but I must not waste oodles of time looking at it, breaking it down, thinking about this way, thinking about that way. So I think it's finding that balance and then going with where you believe God is going with you, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think also, like we see in the movie, something so terrible happens that it causes someone to turn away from God, where all the terrible stuff happens, and what we've got to remember is that God wants us to run towards Him for His protection and His guidance, and to be a refuge rather than blame blame God for that. And and that was the mistake that Mel Gibson's character made. Even though he was a spiritual leader, he felt that
I still think that deep in him he hadn't lost his faith. I still think that even though he had chosen not to continue with his calling, I think we'll always have that anchor that holds us down, even when we feel that we have completely lost the plot. It is difficult.
Yeah.
I think we haven't gone through something like that, but but to have like a very rough, traumatic, hard place in life, it's a natural thing for humans to go, okay, hold on. Okay, as much as I know of God and that I've worked through my whole life with God, this is gonna knock me for a while. And I found with this movie as well, God also used the people around him, his family, that he may not have actually. So he was the spiritual eldest, but the spiritual father there. But actually, how I perceived it, God actually used his kids,
definitely,
his brother, his family members around him to bring him back to the understanding of God, which I also found pretty powerful as well. So he's always working with us. We just might not be, if we can't fully get it, God will find ways. And the fact that you can, and I won't bring exactly what happened with his daughter, but the fact that God would use one or two things from her life at her young age to impact her father, just shows that we shouldn't also get to a place where we feel, okay, well, I'm not sure if anybody else can help me, but God used other people intervening into his life to bring him to a point where he found himself back with God, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Very cool, huh? Yeah.
Any more thoughts? We're gonna slowly wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I don't have any more thoughts than that. Maybe just the fact that it's very interesting that Shyamalan, he's not sort of I don't think he's a sort of a Christian at all or anything, but that's actually quite a. But as a Christian, you can actually watch the movie and actually get a very powerful Christian message from it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I like that. The fact that he's and the fact that he didn't, that it's not it's not forcing anything down your throat, but it does have sort of Christian leanings, if you like.
No, it's not, and I mean this in a nice way. It's not a movie that is made and directed by the what are they called? Angel Studio. They are.
I thought you were going to say that. Yeah.
You'll know the Angel Studio, brilliant. They do their movies great. You'll know what you're getting. They're very powerful Christian movies, very, really good. And I feel that they've been getting better and better.
Definitely.
As in, I guess I was going to say. So I think in the beginning of Christian movies and Christian music, people had to find their way through, and sometimes they were cheesy, sometimes they were good. I think over time, that's just my feeling. Anyways, Angel Studio have been getting better and better.
Definitely.
So I brought them up in the sense where you'll know that there will be a strong Christian message in it, but it's not an overpowering one. With this one, exactly as you're saying, you can see it as a Christian message in there. You can see it as there is a higher power message out there. Some way in there, it does allow you to question, what's happening on Earth. Is there something more to it, or is it just a bunch of consequences, and it's just us, and and that's it, kind of thing. Definitely watch the movie, people. If you haven't watched it, it's really good, very, very powerful. Like as I was saying, even not even having watched it and knowing where it's going and whatever, it's still I'll watch his movies a lot. Like as I was mentioning, I'm going through all of his movies in order. So I've just watched. So it was The Signs. Signs was, and then last night I watched The Village. The next one that I'm watching, which a lot of people didn't understand and they hated it, which is actually one of my favorite ones, is Lady in the Water. It bombs.
Yep.
People didn't get it. People didn't like it. They just thought it sucked. Some reason I really enjoyed it. I like the story behind it. And again, there's this, and let's not talk about it now. We'll talk about it when we finish. There's an aspect in that. There's one certain aspect that's running its way through so many of his movies. There's one certain thing, a certain. No, I actually don't want to mention
a common thread.
It's a common thread of a strength and a weakness. Let's just leave it at that. That is brought through quite a few of his movies. I enjoyed it. I'm going to watch it again and see if I still enjoyed it as I did last time, because that was. And again, it uses the amazing, and I don't know, she's brilliant. What's her name again? The redhead.
Christina Hendricks.
Christina Hendricks. What is wrong with you?
Isn't she the redhead in Isn't she the redhead in The Village? Not.
Oh my, that's embarrassing. Christina Hendricks.
Okay,
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, that one.
Christina Hendricks.
That's what I thought it was. I don't know, dude. I haven't watched The Village in ages. I need to watch it again.
You know what? It's okay. It was just, I guess vaguely you can think as Christina Hendricks. No, with Bryce Dallas Howard she gets mixed up with the other. I've forgotten her name now. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Point being, she's a great actress. She was used in The Village, and she's used in Lady in the Water. And you'll see with M. Night, he likes to use the same actors once in a while, throughout his movies.
We see this with.
That's like used a lot though. It's like Scorsese uses similar actors. Nolan will use
Chris Nolan, correct? Yes,
similar actors. It's just when you work well on a certain movie that's done well with a director, why not use them again because they did so damn well the last time, kind of thing.
Yeah, correct.
Anyways, that's a bit of a move up, but yes, if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. Give it a watch. Write your thoughts. Let us know your comments as to like how, if you have watched it, let us know. It's really powerful, and it's been good. That I do think that M. Night is on a spiritual journey somewhere. I don't know where he believes at this point, or who he believes, if he is a Christian or not. But his stuff does make you question, and it's good. It's good. It's very, very good. Very powerful movie. Definitely watch it. It'll open up a lot of conversation that hopefully some of this has helped you to see as well.
Cool.
There we go.
That was a lekker chat.
It was. And for people who don't know what the word lekker means, it means good. Lekker is a South African thing for saying cool, but it's nicer than cool. It's like, that was really good. It was like really good. That was lekker. Yeah. So agreed. That was really good. Wrap us up, Bruce. Wrap us up.
Well, this has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, engage with us in the comments, all of that good stuff. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
See you guys later. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Cheers.